If you do it and it fails, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You will learn more from failing
Yep.
than you did for succeeding.
The potential of fractional ownership in fast food franchises. Oh man, you must be ready for that. You're giddy for this one.
And this is such a simple, easy way to completely stand out and say,
All right, what's up, Gummi? How you doing?
I'm good, yourself?
Not too bad, man. What you been up to this week?
Found out that I broke 73 clients' websites yesterday. Yeah, that was a good job. Good job.
Good job. What'd you do, DNS?
No, I may or may not have deleted an email address that was the send from email address from
beautiful.
73. Yeah, so
Amazing.
it's getting fixed right now, fortunately, but
Jeez.
I
Were
had
they
to go-
actually down, or they just weren't working with their forms?
so the forms were processing,
Right.
but they weren't actually sending it to the customer.
Couldn't, right.
So we had to go in and see on 73 websites whether or not someone actually filled out the form in the last 24 hours.
Beautiful.
And then resend that to all those clients.
Excellent. But the site was still up and running.
Oh yeah,
All right, that's
everything
good.
was functioning. It was just the SMTP mailer
because it
wasn't connected.
had no account to
Correct.
send through.
Yeah.
Incredible. Good job.
So yeah, I do smart things every once in a while.
Oh yeah, we all do
Yeah.
that. Oh,
I was
man.
like, why do we have this email address? Who uses this?
Early on in my career, very early on in my not my law career, but my software career, I was working with a guy, and he had a pretty big, not like gigantic, but a pretty big client that sold clothing. We'll leave it at that. And this was right around the time where newsletter systems were kind of being built, right?
Yeah.
But I thought, hey, I'm a good coder. I can make my own newsletter system. So I built a quasi newsletter system for them so that they could send out a newsletter, right? And then we could track it and stuff like that. And to this day, I don't know where the bug in the code was. But after we sent the first letter out, I started getting bombarded with emails from people. Please stop. It won't stop. I keep getting these. It was sending to people over and over again. People got it over 100 times in a matter of like 20 minutes. So there was clearly a bug somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that because I was crushed that day. I thought for sure we were getting sued, or I was getting sued, but they didn't seem to care. In fact, they were kind of laughing, saying, well, at least people know the messages.
Yeah, right.
It's like, I just remember getting messages from people, please make it stop.
It's better than it not going out at all.
That's true. So, all right, this is from Historical Focus 938. How about an app to help students and working professionals nail the job interview? An AI tool where it will interview them as an HR and give them feedback where they lack and what could have done better in response. The same tool will filter the candidates based on the skills required for the job, do the initial interview without bias, and filter the... What?
I'm just laughing.
Don't laugh. Let me finish so you understand what the guy's
I'm
asking.
just laughing
then
at
then you can laugh afterwards.
I'm laughing at the without bias part because you and I have had this conversation many times.
AI is so biased. And filter the best candidates, as it will save a lot of time initially in getting the right folks and interviewing as many people, irrespective of time zone and timing. Will candidates or HR pay for such a tool? Looking for your feedback.
They already are.
They already are. Absolutely.
Yes. So theoretically, this already exists. Doesn't mean, we've said this, there's always room for new players in any market if you do it well or bring something to the table. Like if you can eliminate bias from AI, you would have really good tool.
Really good luck with that. It took us as human beings hundreds of thousands of years to eliminate bias, and we're still haven't eliminated bias. They're going to teach an AI machine in a couple of weeks.
I remember they were talking about, I forget which job site it was, and it pre-screens resumes and finds candidates, right? And they thought they had been extremely neutral in the process.
I know exactly where you're going with this. I know the story. It's Microsoft, by the way. I think. Oh no, it was Amazon. It was Amazon.
Actually, I think it was Indeed.
It was Amazon. I believe it was Amazon's. Okay, forget it. Maybe it was one of them. Anyway.
So what they found out is one of the requirements for jobs was often professional writing skills.
Oh, we're talking about different things. Okay. I'll tell you mine in a minute.
So what ended up happening was it rejected anybody that didn't. At first, it rejected anybody that didn't type in proper English. And then it ran that for a while, and then it realized the vast majority of the candidates that it was rejecting were labeled as African American. So it started rejecting all African Americans
I heard
as
about
well,
this too,
right?
yeah.
And it's because the AI just learned.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it wasn't professionally written. It just means it may have been written in a slightly different style or using slightly different grammar,
Right.
which if you're in English as a second language, or depending on whether you're from the South or Maine, like there's going to be slight variances in how you write. And yeah, the AI just figured that out all on its own. And
So there's another story, and I teach this in one of my CLEs, and I can't remember if it's Amazon or Microsoft. I think it was Amazon. They had an AI. They had an AI program that was screening resumes, and it was for tech positions. and hey, look, I've been in software for 30 years now, right, professionally, and I have probably interviewed 3 to 4 women in my time, not from lack of trying. Believe me, I've been trying to find women.
I think we talked about this
in the tech field, and it's just difficult. Yep. So anyway, the AI received hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of resumes from men, but only a handful from women. So the AI just assumed that women couldn't do the job and just automatically rejected them.
Yep.
So it was biased in the fact that when it saw a female's resume or something that purported to be female, because I'm guessing based on the name, it would immediately reject it because it assumed that only men could do the role.
Yeah.
It wasn't programmed to do that,
correct.
But that's the bias that it picks up.
And it's funny because I was talking to a buddy of mine that's been working in AI for years and years and years. They filter emails, right? Like that's what their AI does for educational systems. I'll leave it at that. But he said the problem is anytime we make an adjustment to the AI, there's unforeseen consequences that happen. And he's like, even if we revert it, we don't always get it back to the point it was. Is that
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's like, sometimes that's why they launch things very, very, very carefully, is because there is no way to undo what you did. Like you can't go back and reset it like to 14 days ago and it'll just pick up where it left off.
So it's like a little kid.
It
sees mommy and daddy's behavior and there's no unringing that bell.
Yeah. That from what he was telling me, that seems to be the case. Like unwinding something, they have to have a complete like backup untouched to even have a chance of getting it back to where it was. But when they reset it, it sometimes doesn't reset.
I didn't know that. But that makes perfect sense because it's programmed to learn. It's learning. You can't unlearn things, right? Yoda was incorrect. You can't unlearn what you've learned.
No, you cannot. You can get worse at it, but you
can't
can't unlearn it.
You can't unlearn it.
Yeah.
You can try to push it aside and hide it, but
it's funny though, because every time we have an AI conversation, right? I always tell them, well, they're trying to make it more human, right? They're trying to make it think like a human, rationalize like a human. And I'm like, I don't know if you've ever been in a group of people and had a conversation with multiple people and you go, how is this person still alive? Right? But that's part of the human. It's going to learn from all those people as well as the people.
That's interesting because what Tommy Lee Jones in Men in Black said, a person is smart, people are stupid, irrational, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
You think AI is going to follow that trend too, where an individual AI is good, but if you get multiple together, they start becoming irrational?
Probably.
We're teaching it based on the way we learn.
Correct.
So I wouldn't be surprised if what it outputs is similar to what we would output.
And I mean, that's the whole goal, right? That's what it's learning from. It's learning from, and now that we are engaging with it, right? Because they're letting people engage with AI, and part of that is used for learning.
Right.
So I remember, for example, when ChatGPT first launched, and I would give it a single line prompt, right? Or a single command prompt.
Sure.
One-shot prompt. It would give me a phenomenal answer. A year and a half later, if I give it that same prompt, it gives me a much, much more general and dumbed down answer than what it used to give me. So now it is responding based on people knowing less about the subject that they're asking it about. And that's what it's learned over time, is that if you ask a question, you're not looking for the specific answer. You're looking for often the broadest
general
definition.
answer.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, and I've noticed that as well. Where certainly now compared to when it first launched, even though it's ChatGPT 4 now, right?
I mean, it can do more cooler things.
Yeah, it can,
but it
images and
requires
things like that.
more prompts to get something done.
To get the right answer, because you're right. As it is fed more information, but more importantly, as we query more information out of it, it learns from the queries too.
Yeah. So
it starts becoming, I don't want to say less intelligent, but it certainly gives you less intelligent answers.
And then when people can select which is the better answer,
yes.
right? Like depending on what level your understanding is, the dumbed down answer you may consider the better answer
because you don't understand the words in the other answer. Well, you're like, oh, I guess it's this one over here,
right? So I jokingly said the one day, when ChatGPT launched, it was like the professor that knew everything and would give you these awesome answers. Now it's the intern.
Right.
Right. So
teaching assistant.
They always start with the broadest definition and force you to start asking more questions to drill down an answer instead of just giving you the answer that is probably the answer. If you know what you're asking, it's probably the answer you're looking for. But I get why they're doing it this way. It's just very annoying to now have to, chain prompt something that used to be a single shot prompt.
Right. Yeah. Well, and back to the whole bias thing, without question, AI is biased. It's going to be biased. It's always going to be biased. And not that it's programmed to be biased. It can only give you information based on what it's fed.
And even when Google tried to code the bias out of it.
Can't do it.
It became... Did you see the picture where they had...
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're like, but that doesn't work. Like, now you're so unbiased that you're biased towards bias, right? Like, it's... Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't work, unfortunately. So back to this idea.
Yes.
I think that's the whole point of this conversation, right?
Correct.
So back to this idea. Of course, there's tools out there to do it. I like the idea, hey, go build your own tool. Maybe it'll be better, right? Maybe it'll be cheaper. Maybe it'll be faster. Maybe it'll be more efficient. I don't know. So you'll never know until you build it. It's still a good idea because people are going to need it. Small businesses especially are going to need it. Larger companies are already doing it. Go out and build a tool and see what happens.
Yeah, test it. Get some people small business owners, whatever, to test it and see how it does.
Yeah, exactly. So
if I can tell you one. So insights for a tool supporting HR and candidates, right? So he's talking about like interviews and all this stuff.
Right.
Because I just had this conversation with a client last week. The only real place they have to advertise for jobs is Facebook, right? Because of the type of work they're in, that's where they get...
Oh, that particular client. Okay, gotcha.
Right? So that's where they would find the most likely candidates for the jobs that they're hiring. The problem is it is also the worst platform to recruit people from because it is so easy to apply when you use the Meta system because it's literally just a button that says apply.
Okay.
You're not even forced to read the full job description. Right?
Oh. So you're getting a bunch of bogus.
So just filtering through and trying to connect with the first, 50 candidates or 100 candidates, however many you have to go through, becomes a horrible, horrible process. If you could do a tool that helps narrow down Facebook candidates and prep them for an interview and get interview questions ready for a small business owner, I think there's a business there.
Okay.
Right? So it's this just on a niche product, right? Like rather than having completely your own, you're going, oh, no. We're going to integrate this with Meta so that our AI will pre-filter, pre-interview, do a lot of the legwork before we even connect you with the candidate.
Which makes sense because a lot of times those bogus applications or those bogus candidates are, a lot of those are, it's for unemployment.
Yeah.
People are collecting unemployment are required to go out and try to find jobs.
Correct.
And then they can report back, I applied to this job, this job, and this job.
Yep. Never heard back from the...
Yeah, never heard from them because you're completely unqualified for it or overqualified for it, but you're going to still collect your unemployment because of it.
I think like a variant of what he's looking at, if it could do that, I think there's a product there.
All right, so cool idea. I like it. Good luck with that. All right, let's see. Esports platform for schools.
Oh,
I'm curious.
That's what my brother does.
My son does that. He was well, not anymore. He graduated
No,
high school now.
he used to run. They hired him as a teacher to start implementing an esports program in school.
Oh, cool. I was going to say my son was part of an esports program.
So my brother developed the esports program for his entire school district.
Oh, neat.
And yeah, it was pretty cool hearing his stories. So just a quick reminder, if you're listening, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us a lot.
And don't forget the like button. That helps too.
The like button is really good.
The like button's a good thing.
So, okay. So enough with the plugs. Let's
get back to it. All right. So this is from 𝙎𝙧𝙧𝙧. I've been wanting to create an esports platform for schools that would help fund esports clubs. Not sure where to start. Tried getting co-founders with no success. I found something on Fiverr that could build an MVP, but it's a bit expensive. I'm currently in school, so it would be a great time to do so, but it's tough to juggle both at once. Not sure what I'm asking here. I've had external validation, but I'm too nervous to start since I don't understand how gaming leagues work. So it sounds like a high school student trying to come up with this.
Yeah.
Cool. Good for you, man. Keep going. Keep being the entrepreneur.
Correct.
Your entire life, just keep going. I love it.
If you do it and it fails, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You will learn more from failing than you did succeeding.
Yeah.
The first go around.
You'll learn more from failing than you will in college.
Yes.
So anyway, all right. So, your brother had experience.
Yeah.
Give him some advice.
Well, so it's different when you're doing it within schools because like he was hired in specifically to do this. So the school system already understood that this was something that was needed because it was coming. But I think right now the biggest thing lacking in getting this stuff like fully off the ground is that, like my brother said, half the classes he teaches, they're not actually playing the games.
What are they doing?
He is teaching them ethics.
Oh,
he
okay.
is teaching them like the human aspect of
that was going to be my
like
point.
sports.
So it is that there's way more to it than just the video game. But go ahead.
Correct. And that's so when they set up the classes and the leagues and all that stuff, a lot of the training that they're doing is things like civility is like, and I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, a lot of these kids that are really into these platforms, right? Or these games, he's like, a lot of them are introvert. They don't really get out too much. They don't talk to other people. So they lack a lot of like the basic social skills other than just like in-game type stuff, right? Like they're good at the call signs and the things needed to play the game, but they lack a lot of the other social aspects. So when they were teaching it, they brought that aspect into it as well. Like gaming ethics.
Right.
Most people don't know what gaming ethics are.
No, they have no clue. They don't realize that there are ethics in gaming.
Correct.
Because when they say gaming, they think of Fortnite and the 9-year-olds that go around just shooting everybody.
Correct.
That's not what gaming is.
So yeah, I think I'm not fully understanding what it is that he's looking to do here, but anything that you are
neither
doing
is
with,
he, right? It sounds like we'll go with he. It sounds like he doesn't know what he's doing. He does what he wants to do either. He just wants to kind of get started. And a lot of times you don't know what you're doing when you're first getting started. Yeah. You're just kind of building something that makes sense and then going from there. And then 6 months from now, what you built is no relation whatsoever to what's actually there at that point.
Yeah.
So,
but I absolutely think that there is an esport platform, not on the playing the game side, but on learning everything that is required, just like athletes have to do, just like business people have to do, right? You could be really good at sales, but it doesn't mean you're good at running a business.
Right.
Right? You could be really good at running a business, but you can't sell to save your life. Right? And there are so many things with any type of sports, whether it's an individual sport or a team sport, where you have to learn everything around it in order to become really good at it. So I think there's an opportunity there to really dive into the everything else other than playing the game.
I mean, we're going science fiction here, but remember the book Ender's Game? Or the movie Ender's Game, right?
Yeah, they made a movie about it.
Yeah. It was a decent movie. The book's way better.
The book's always better.
Well, in this case specifically.
And I made a TikTok video about it, and I'll explain it to you once we're done here.
Okay. Well, we'll put the link to that. We'll put the link to that in the description. So anyway, in Ender's Game, what I couldn't figure out for a few years, by the way, is why these kids? Why are we using kids to go and fight aliens across the universe? And then I realized it's because their synapses are so quick, they can do things so much faster than an adult could do. Yeah. That's the whole purpose. But my point is, what those games were teaching those kids had nothing to do with the game. It all had to do with leadership and collaboration and working together and teams. What's business? That's what it is.
That's 100% what it is.
And so when you think, oh, I'm not sending my kid to esports, because they're just going to go around playing video games, shooting people. No, they're working in teams.
Correct. They're learning leadership.
They're assigning tasks to each other to get things done to accomplish a mission. That's business.
Yes.
That's what business does.
It's life.
Yeah, it's life
right?
in
like
general.
That's how a family runs.
All of Generation X, we are all fantastic at one particular trait. You know what it is? Packing. You know why? Tetris. We all played Tetris as kids.
I was just thinking,
and we are all phenomenal at packing. All of us.
I still do it. I'm now like in my late 40s, and I'll open my trunk and I'll look at what I have and I go, I can fit all this into there.
Yeah,
everything.
I can fit anything
and then
into
everything
anything.
fits. And then my wife brings out like one more bag and I'm like, I won't fit because it's full, right? But it's full all the way to the top.
So again, it's a skill we learned as kids that's going to follow us through our whole life. Well, a lot of these games are so much more advanced now that when it comes to things like collaborating and leading, and it's all part of the game.
And you got to trade with people. Like there's all
economies of scale there. I mean, there's so much more to it than just playing video games.
I remember when they built EVE Online because I happen to know some of those guys. Built in Iceland, by the way.
You know everybody.
I don't know everybody. But it was interesting because I was talking to them because I was playing a lot of those, what do they call them? The MMC? No. The large online games.
Oh, the multi...
I forget what they call them.
Online multiplayer? It's something like that.
So I was playing those games at the time. And one of the things they said that was a key element for them is they actually brought in an economist to build the financial ecosystem of the game, because in most other games, that is what goes off balance, right? Because you may have a guild that has more money than anybody else in game.
And they run everything.
So they made a resource in game that is finite, right? And that is the resource that controls most of the game. So you cannot hoard this finite item like you can in most other games.
They did that in Second Life too. Yeah. Second Life, they brought in from what I remember, they brought some type of economist in, figured out that was actually for a while there. That game, you could actually take Second Life money and convert it into real currency.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that was before Bitcoin and everything like that. That was.
But as you can tell, gaming has a lot of different things. You learn so many things. Like that's what I think esports is missing is the education on everything that ties around it and what you're really learning in it.
Yeah. So for this idea here, I mean, again, the guy doesn't really have an idea of what he wants to do, but there you go. You know, that's what you do. The mission here for you then is promote the good of esports, right? If you want to really build it up in your school and you want to have a real thing going, promote the good. It's not just about playing video games. It's about all the other aspects that are going to be good for these kids throughout their life.
Exactly, social, education, the leadership, the business.
Exactly. So go promote that.
Planning.
Go build a business plan that shows what esports will do, how it will benefit the other students in the school. Present it to the school administrator, the principal, the school board, whatever.
You and I both know Jay London, the college advice guy, right? So it's funny because I was playing golf with him the other day, and he said this is still one of the things that parents underestimate, but colleges are starting to understand, that people that are in this e-gaming world often have very specific skill sets that will benefit them long term, right? And it was just fascinating hearing that from someone that literally advises people on college stuff. But they've started looking at it as a talent, and what you do within the game and what type of games you play now determines how they look at you as a candidate.
Right.
I'm like, that's fascinating.
That is really cool. So, well, there you go. It's a good idea. Of course, esports is always fun.
So while you're looking for the next thing,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why the book is always better than the movie.
Oh, please.
Because it's a basic marketing concept.
Okay.
The person writing the book is writing it for an individual, right? So I'm writing the book for you to read it as an individual.
Okay.
Which is why people often fall for like favorite authors, because they just like how it's written, or they like
right? The way that things are. Yeah. Okay.
Correct. When you are making movies are made by committee, so it's no longer one person speaking.
And for the general audience.
Correct.
Right.
So it's no longer, but more importantly, it's the committee that's making the movie, right? So it's no longer one person speaking to another. It's now a group of people trying to communicate an idea to an individual.
Okay.
And it'll always thin stuff out, because someone will have an idea that doesn't quite align with it. But when you are in sync with whatever author you're reading, it's because they wrote the book 100% from them to you.
Interesting. That's an interesting point. No, so I hadn't considered that.
But that's why, like, you and I can read the same book, and you're going to go, "Oh my God, that was a great book," and I'm like, "That's trash," right? But it's because the author wasn't writing it for me;
Right.
He was writing it for you, which is why authors.
But the movie adaptation is
now
more generalized.
A group
right.
of people. You get the script writer that
Right.
starts, then you get the director, then you have creative input along the way,
And the editor and all.
So now at the end of it, there have been, dozens of people that have influenced how the story is told versus just the author writing the story the way he wants it to be told.
It's a very interesting thing. I had not considered that. That makes a lot of sense, though. It really does.
That's why the book is almost, if you loved the book, you will hate the movie.
Yeah.
If you hated the book, you may like the movie.
Big fan of the Wheel of Time series. Big fan. I don't know if you ever read the Wheel of Time series.
I did not.
Wow, so good. Did not like the show.
It's the same.
Did not like the show at all.
It's the same thing people say with Game of Thrones and.
Yeah, I never read Game of Thrones. I purposely never read Harry Potter because I
Right.
really like the movies, and I don't want to ruin the movies for myself.
Correct. But people that read that, if you read Stephen King versus watching the movies, like, the books are way better than the movies. It's just most people won't pick up a Stephen King movie and read. Right?
Oh, it's just 1,000 pages.
Correct. Yeah. Good luck turning that into like a movie that
Right.
connects. But I mean,
Although,
Stephen King movies are really good.
I will give you not the recent one, but the original It, the one late 80s, early 90s. Not bad.
It scared the shit out of me for years.
When compared side by side with the book. Now, obviously, there's much more in the book, and the books adds more chaos and such. But the movie itself wasn't bad compared to the book.
It wasn't
the
bad.
newer one,
but the book was still better.
Of course,
right?
Oh yeah, books always
correct. But that's the marketing reason, the psychological reason behind why the book is always better than movie.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring this up is because in marketing, especially if you're in a nonprofit or you're in a business that's further along, this is why so much of marketing misses the mark, because you have 4 people giving input on an ad that should be one person speaking to the other.
Right. Marketing by committee, sure. Anything by committee.
Which is generally the worst thing you can do. But that's also why so many big companies come up with they get stuck in the strategy stage, is because they can't formulate the message, because everybody's going to find something wrong with it.
Right.
When in fact it should have just been written by the copywriter to that specific person and ignore everybody else.
Not possible.
Not
a big company. There's no way.
Correct. And but this is why, like, messaging and all kinds of stuff just goes sideways or
Is this
misses
why the
the
Super
mark.
Bowl commercials have been awful the last 20 years?
I think a lot of the commercials over the last few years have gotten worse because people were afraid of cancel culture and being politically correct.
Right. I'm afraid of hurting somebody's feelings or whatnot.
That seems to be going away slightly, but we still have a little bit of this cancel culture thing going on. But the bigger companies are starting to understand that not everybody will buy from you all the time.
Sure.
Right? So you have people that take a stand, right? Like Nike's done it. Gillette is one that always tries to just walk that fine line. And then like if you look at Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift never made anybody mad.
No.
Right? She never said a bad thing about anyone. She never took a stance on anything per se. She
sings her songs.
She just
does
her things and keeps accumulating a new audience, right? But once again, it's also because she's able to take her song and communicate it directly to another person.
Yeah.
Nike cannot. Coke cannot. They try, but a lot of times they fail at it because there's too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. Yeah. All right, moving on.
That was general marketing advice for anybody.
That's great. No, that's really great. I really that's going to make me think twice now every time I watch a movie based on a book. That's a very good point. Usually you just walk away disappointed, but this makes sense. All right. Sterum X says, "Do you think business always requires a unique idea? I've seen people say you should have a unique idea to start a business. This is entirely wrong. What do you think about this? Let's have a debate." No, absolutely not. Doesn't have to have a unique idea.
How many landscaping companies open every year?
Exactly.
Right? Like, how many dry cleaners?
Right.
How many grocery stores?
It don't have to be unique. In fact, unique sometimes it is a detriment because if you're unique, people don't know who you are, what you do.
And you don't even have to be different.
Yeah.
That's the sad
It's
part,
better.
right? Like you don't even have to be better.
Well, sometimes you do.
You don't. If you are a landscaper, like let's say you cut grass, that is your business. You don't have to be better than the next guy. You can be cheaper and do a worse job and still make money. You can be better, you can charge more and still make money, right? Like there's all these different levels. You just have to understand in business that on the marketing and sales side of things, you need something that makes you unique or makes you stand out.
Well, usually it's your personality. If it's your business, it's your personality.
It could be, but you and I have both met people with horrible personalities that have flourishing businesses, right? And
you think?
They have the personality of a brick. There are, right? But what they had was something unique within their business that made them good, really good at something else. Whether it was pricing, whether it was knowledge, whatever it is, they had something that differentiated them slightly from everybody else coming in. Because every landscaper out there will tell you, oh, we're better. We work harder. We work longer. Well, that's not a competitive edge. That's every landscaper that I interview tells me the same stuff. And then when I start digging into it, like what really makes you unique, right? And they go, well, we know how to properly mulch because every job we've taken on, everywhere has been over mulched. Okay. So you have more knowledge and then we find out that they have all kinds of specialty knowledge or interest that actually make them different from the guy up the street.
So part of my quote unquote interview process when it comes to contractors or whatever, I don't want to hear what makes you better than the other guy. I just want to hear what makes you good about you. I just want to hear about you. I don't want to hear, well, we do this better than those guys. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what you do well. Just tell me about yourself. Don't compare yourself to these guys.
The moment a contractor comes into my house, looks at something that's in his profession.
Oh, yeah, this is wrong.
And tells me, well, who did this, right? You're out.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I'm the same way.
If you tell me, hey, do you want me to fix this at the same time without knocking it?
Right.
I'll consider you because now I have to ask what needs to be fixed, right? And if you can tell me what needs to be fixed rather than how poorly someone else did the job.
Because when you tell me someone else did it poorly, you're not telling me that you can do it correct.
No. Now I'm saying, hey, do you want this done correctly or properly
it's
or
like
better?
negative politics, right? You're telling me what the other guy did wrong, not what you're going to do right.
It doesn't help me at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
So anyway, back to this. So unique, no. That absolutely does not need to be unique. It can be. Good luck finding something unique these days because that's tough. But no, just be good at what you do.
I found someone that does something that I thought was unique.
What's that?
I'd never seen it before.
Okay.
I think we talked about this before. He sells Lego pieces.
He sells Lego pieces. Doesn't Lego do that?
No. So what he will do is he will go out and find at yard sales and
we did talk about this a while ago.
Yeah. So what people don't realize is that there could be one piece within a Lego set, even some modern
that's
ones,
unique to that piece, to that set. You can't get anywhere else.
or it was remanufactured for a different product in like now, but that thing also belongs to a Lego set that was made in 1982, but it happened to be the piece that got lost the most.
Oh, could you imagine how long it takes to catalog that
now,
stuff?
But he did. And now that one little Lego piece, right, that you buy in a set for $49.95, that one little piece, because there's only limited sets made, could end up being worth $300. Right? But if you don't know that piece is the same as the piece from the 1980 set, you wouldn't be able to start that type of business. But so apparently there's a handful of people in the world that actually do what he does.
But
and
that, again, I'm getting a headache thinking about the cataloging of that.
Oh, yeah. And then they will buy collector sets off of eBay, right? Like they'll buy a set that no longer has been produced.
Right.
That was kept in pristine condition and blah, blah, blah. Because some of the pieces in that set are worth more when you break it up than selling the set as a collector's set. I was like, my mind was like twisting as I was hearing about this business. And I'm like,
the organization must be insane to keep that. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pieces.
Now, keep in mind that,
good luck with that.
You don't have to catalog the most common stuff, right?
But the unique stuff, even
the unique stuff, yeah.
Still, I'm sure there's. Think about all the Star Wars things back in the '80s, all the Lego Star Wars, how they all had.
That's actually where a lot of it is.
I'm sure.
Do you know what?
Individual pieces that were never used anywhere else.
Do you know what surprised me? The largest market for this is Asia.
Okay.
A lot of the stuff that are like unique type pieces, ones like really hard to find, they're actually selling on eBay, and a lot of it is going to Asia.
Wow.
So apparently there's a huge Lego collector community. I was like, wow. But
see, if I have a Lego set and there's a piece missing, I just say, okay, I'm done.
Right.
All right, I'll go without.
There's people that are fanatics about this.
That's crazy. All right. So anyway, unique idea? Nah, not necessary.
No. If you can come up with one that works.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But it's absolutely not necessary. All right. Oh, here we go. This is all you, Gummi. Oh, yeah. It's got franchises, fractional ownership, the potential of fractional ownership in fast food franchises. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, you must be ready for that. You're giddy for this one.
Oh, this
is from
exists.
Yummy Food Group. Fractional ownership is revolutionizing fast food investments. Offering, I think this is a pitch, but that's okay.
It is a pitch.
Yeah. Offering a host of benefits that make it an appealing option for many investors. Mm-hmm. Fractional ownership allows investors to enter the fast food market with lower capital by sharing ownership with others, risk diversification, accessibility for all, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. Okay, so fractional ownership. We do this with planes a lot. I don't know if you know that or not. Yeah. So,
so this model exists already in like and people are doing this. So basically, my guess is that these guys are the investors and you invest in their business. But yeah, this is being done all over the place.
What do you think about it?
I think it's brilliant because a lot of people don't know, like if you wanted to buy a Dunkin' Donuts franchise today, do you know how many you have to buy?
Oh, there's a number.
Yeah.
You can't just buy one.
No.
Okay.
So if you buy a Dunkin' Donuts, you have to buy 3 franchises, which means you have to open 3 stores.
Wow.
Right? Now, think about it. If you want to work in your franchise, there's no way you can work and be making donuts and coffee at all 3 franchises.
At the same time, sure.
Because Dunkin' Donuts is now looking for exactly this. They're looking for a group of people or an investor that wants to, we call them absentee-owned franchises, where the system is so good that as long as you hire a good GM, no owner has to be involved.
Okay.
Right? So there's a lady right up the street here, owns 11 McDonald's franchises. She started by mopping the floors at a franchise at a McDonald's, worked her way up and kept buying more. So when you think of someone as owning a fast food franchise, you don't think of people like her making millions of dollars owning 11 of them. But this is why part of the reason I love the franchise model, right, is they, like the McDonald's, the Subways, a lot of them don't require you to be there and still have a 70% success rate, right? And you're not even involved as the owner. You just hire a really good GM that runs it for you. You're basically just fronting the money to buy it, and then it becomes a cash machine.
Okay. Wow.
So
Chick-fil-A is different. Chick-fil-A requires you,
correct.
If you're the franchise owner, you
Correct.
have to be there on a regular basis.
But this is why you have franchises ranging from you have $1,000 franchises to multi-million-dollar franchises.
Right.
There's a franchise out there. I met the guys. They do pet resorts.
Okay.
I think it's all in on your first franchise is like $2 million.
Oof.
With building out the facility, and it's some insane number. Don't hold me to the 2 million, but you're not going to be just an average Joe, and your choice is Subway at 200,000 or a pet resort at 2 million.
Right.
The reason it's that expensive is also because of the clientele they cater to, right? So it's interesting. People totally underestimate the number of franchises out there. I remember a few years ago, it blew my mind to find out that Germany was one of the countries that had most franchisors per capita.
Really?
Yeah. Per capita. Keep that in mind, right?
Yeah, well, sure.
But yeah, Germany has a super well-matured franchisor system in place. They also have the lowest number of proportionally exported franchises.
Huh.
And that's a language thing.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's once again, people totally underestimate it because everyone knows someone that owned a bad franchise and went under, or their franchise failed. The reality is something like once you get into the really good franchises, right? The ones that aren't just trying to pick your pocket, so to speak.
Yeah.
You still have an 80% success rate of being in business in 5 years. While the average business has something like a 30% chance or a 20%. Okay. The numbers almost completely flip. So if you find, and there's franchise brokers out there, right? So you as an individual can call up a franchise broker. We use a company called FranSurf. And they're literally independent brokers all across the US. You can call that broker up and say, hey, I'm looking to buy a franchise. And they will go, okay, what skill sets do you have? I'm really good at sales. Okay, is that something you want to be part of your franchise? Well, I'm really good at hiring people. I'm really good at HR. Well, there are franchises where being good at HR is a better benefit than being good at sales.
Gotcha.
McDonald's being one of them. If you are really good at HR,
you hire the right people, they run it for you.
You are probably going to succeed as a McDonald's franchisee, right? If you are really good at certain things, so what they do is they take you and they evaluate you. They look at your skill set. They look at your interest. They look at what you've done. They look at what you want to do in the future. And then they literally match you with the franchise that fits best based on the criteria that you want or fits you the best. It's a brilliant system.
So the fractional thing is nice too, because then you don't have to put up all the money yourself.
Correct.
And it actually saves you a lot of risk while still allowing you to get into the franchise.
Yeah.
So, no, that's interesting.
And it's franchises are a low risk of failure.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the day,
right.
All investments can fail. Right. All franchises can fail. But for decades, the most successful franchise out there was Subway.
Right.
They had fewer franchisees fail than I think almost any other franchisor.
Crazy.
Now there's a minimum, it's assuming you're selling, I think it was 20 a year.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so Subway, I think for a long period of time was one of the most successful franchises out there.
You know a lot about franchises, don't you? All right, Gummi, you proved your point. All right. Let's see. Tips for my idea. This is from EVV or INV2. I'm thinking about creating a website where girls and women can lend and rent dresses and other clothing. This is to solve the problem that many women have, that they don't want to wear the same dress to multiple parties, weddings, galas, etc., but don't want to buy and spend the full amount for a dress every time. Now, There are, of course, places where you can rent a dress, but then you lend it from a company. On my platform, you can not only lend it from a person, but also rent it. So this way, you create a community effect. And think of earning a free lend when you've rented so many times. Do you think this could work? And what are the things I should think about? I think that's already out there. I think I've seen that before.
I haven't seen it.
Where you could, well, no, it's more resale. So it's like a Plato's Closet or something like
correct.
that. What? I don't know about the lending. That's interesting.
Why not?
No. Meaning I don't know that something like that exists.
I've never seen this idea for
that's
clothing,
an interesting
right?
one.
But if you think about it, what makes this different than Airbnb?
Nothing. Except it's dresses instead of rooms.
and the number one thing that I hear people that have to go to formal events a lot say is, I can't wear the same thing twice, right?
And I don't want to spend 200, 500 hours on a dress.
On a new gala dress. Or because there are people that go to all types of events frequently, but don't want to rip through that type of money getting a new dress all the time.
Right.
Right? So if you had a community where you could, hey, can I borrow your dress and I'll lend you mine? Or like it goes in a triangle or whatever.
Okay, so first thing that comes to mind is insurance, because the dresses are going to get ruined at times. What'll happen?
Just have a deposit, just like Airbnb does.
Some kind of insurance has to be had there.
But you can set that there's a $500 deposit when you borrow a dress, right? And then
you get it back. It's just like if you rent a car or something like that, right?
Correct,
like
right?
Toro or whatever.
And then if there's damage to the dress, then that gets taken out of your security deposit. So you as the lender, you're responsible for documenting the dress when it leaves your hands, and you as the lendee are responsible for documenting the dress when you return it.
Yeah, and
if there's a discrepancy between the two photos,
right?
Now, so really what this ends up being is a dispute handling.
Yeah, because the app owner themselves aren't involved in the shipping or receiving of the dresses.
Correct.
It just goes right from person A to person B.
So they're just middlemaning and holding a security deposit in case something happens. You're almost like an escrow service, right? And you're logging who holds whose dress, and if they don't return it within 11 days, your card gets charged.
Right.
And you could have it so that someone sets, hey, I have and you and I both know this because we've rented out property. Like I was on RV Share. You were on Airbnb.
RV Share. No, RV Share too. We just did it.
Yeah. So I rented my trailer.
Oh, you mean renting my own trailer? That was Airbnb. Sorry, yeah.
So I used to be on RV Share, right? And it was the same thing. I was allowed to set what I wanted the security deposit to be. I was allowed to set a lot of these minimums. So like if you had a dress and it was worth $200, you could say, okay, my limit is $200. If they damage the dress for $200, I can go buy another one, right? If you have $1,000 dress, a $5,000 dress, you can make the security deposit for the dress whatever you want. And then if you want to rent it, it's on you knowing if I tear it, damaged it, whatever it is, I could be out $5,000 and it's as if I bought the dress.
Right.
But now I have a dress that needs to be fixed.
So we're saying lend. Is the word really rent?
I don't know that it has to be rented.
So if you're lending the dress, what's the advantage of doing that? If I'm giving you my dress, right, what do I get out of it? Chance to borrow somebody else's?
Yeah, isn't that what he said?
I guess, yeah. Like if I lend out a dress.
Oh, well, he's talking about rented an X amount of time. So yeah, you could make it a rent. You could make it $10 a day for the dress, whatever it is. But this is basically Airbnb, RV Share.
Right. For clothing.
Yeah.
I have to think something like that might exist. Not that it matters, because I haven't heard of it. Yeah, if only there's a way to find out.
Now I'm going to.
If only we could find out.
Can you rent clothing?
I'm sure there's a way to do it.
Because we know you can do it from stores, right?
Yes. Yeah, Joseph A. Bank. I rent tuxedos there. Well, I don't. My son does.
Here we go. My Social Closet. Peer-to-peer clothing rental. Rent fashion from people in your city. Guilt-free way to a new trend.
Okay, what's it called?
My Social Closet.
My Social Closet. Okay, so it exists.
Yeah.
Again, doesn't mean you can't have 2, 3, 4, 5 of them out there.
They're sponsored, so they're paying for ads.
Yep.
So somebody's making money off it somewhere. And then there's stuff you can rent. Like there's a menswear rental subscription where you rent clothes for a certain amount of time, send it back. Luxury clothing rental. But yeah, so My Social Closet seems to be peer-to-peer. So basically exactly what that is.
Yeah.
So a 5-second Google search.
I mean, I had to figure something like that already existed. But again, doesn't mean you don't try to make it work too.
Correct.
Right now, if it was so big that you knew about it, you probably would have a hard time getting into the door now. At this point, it's probably too late. But
you just got to find your niche.
You're not making another Uber. You're not Lyft and Uber are it. There's no one else getting in that market now. Not in the U.S. No way. Who's going to get in that market? Uber it's a verb now. I'm going to Uber home. It's a verb. Once it's a verb, you're done.
It's not.
It's like what happened with Google.
It's not.
Google's the search engine. No one uses search engines. They Google somebody or they Google something. It's the same thing. Once a product becomes a verb, you know this. You're a marketing guy. Once a product becomes a verb or a brand becomes a verb, it's done.
I still don't think that there is a barrier to entry, right? So there is always going to be a niche gap in the market, right? So there's going to be another Uber or another Lyft that is going to be luxury cars only, right? Like there's going to be a niche that carves itself out in the market. So just because something exists doesn't mean there isn't a niche market within that could
Correct.
be highly
I'm
profitable.
thinking general. Okay, you're right. I'm thinking general. I can absolutely see Cybertruck only, right?
Electric EVs
or
only.
something like EVs only or something like that, right?
So, but yeah.
Yeah, fine. I will give you that point.
And then you and I both know that there are several companies working on automated vehicles that drive. Well, why would they need an Uber or Lyft? Why wouldn't they just, when they have an automated fleet,
they'll build their own.
So that's why I'm saying, like, I think Uber and Lyft, there's going to be competition coming for them.
Yeah, but
they're going to lose.
The competition coming for Uber is exactly what you just said. It's not renting someone else's car time or driving time. It's going to be a company who has their own fleet of autonomous vehicles. That's the competition that's coming for Uber and Lyft.
So...
And I'm not aware of Uber and Lyft trying to get into that market myself.
They are.
Are they? I haven't read about that.
I think Uber has been trying to play in that market for years, trying to get autonomous vehicles as part of their
They have
fleet.
to. It's the only way they're going to survive.
Otherwise,
Otherwise, they're going to go the way of Blockbuster.
Yeah.
When the Netflix comes out and crushes them.
Right? So there's always a niche in the market. There's always room for something else, right? And we've said for decades now, nobody's going to threaten Google, right? It's coming. It's happening.
Is it?
Right now, for the first time ever, Google lost 4% market share.
To who? Don't say DuckDuckGo.
No.
Okay. Who?
OpenAI.
Oh, that's true.
And Bing. Right?
Bing.
Well, because Bing is now fueled by OpenAI.
Right.
But yeah, and now that Google just lost the lawsuit that they can no longer pay to be the preferred search engine or the preferred browser on devices.
Which they should never have had that.
Correct. But there was nothing stopping them from being allowed to do that.
Right.
But things change all the time. It can be decades.
Yeah, no, it's a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Every company is going to go away.
Remember the famous quote from the president that said, "The way GM goes is the way the country goes."
Yeah, where's GM now?
Correct. Maybe he's right.
Touche.
But I mean, I remember even companies like General Electric.
Right.
Like General Electric owned the electronics market for fridges and washing machines and
for decades.
And now you barely see them when you go to any store, right?
Yeah.
So I think things change, but people just think they should change faster than what they actually do, right? It's the impatience things nowadays.
Right.
And I deal with the same thing all the time when it comes to like marketing and even building a business. Like people think you can do it in days, weeks, or months, right? Like that's now the expectation. Well, I ran an ad campaign for 60 days and it didn't do anything.
I know.
And I'm like, you know, it takes just the algorithms take 14 to 28 days
just to even pick up your site,
just to figure out what it is that you want to accomplish, right? And then you go in because you're an impatient and you make an adjustment. Guess what you just did? We talked about this earlier in the episode. You just fed something to the AI that it now has to take into account. That changes everything that it's already been working on, right? And I know this because I have a ton of clients that send me, we haven't seen anything. It's been 2 weeks. We haven't seen anything. It's been 3 weeks. And I'm like, your campaign is still in the learning phase, right? Like, give it 3 months. Yeah, are we making adjustments? Yes, but very, very minor, right? But you got to monitor the results. Should you be seeing some results? Yes, but the expectation versus what the reality is often doesn't match.
Yeah, I had not the same issue, but I have similar issues with when I'm helping clients start up their businesses, and I gotta talk them out of thinking that I'm gonna start my LLC and I'm gonna get business tomorrow. No, you're not. No, you might get a couple of small things here and there, but you're not going to have enough to sustain a business. Well, I'm going to quit my job. No, you're not.
No.
You're not quitting your job for at least 6-8 months.
Not unless you have something lined up.
Right, exactly.
Like,
I have to tell clients that all the time and bring them back to reality.
There are people that basically go out on their own because they already have the opportunities waiting for them.
Right. But they built that up over time.
Correct.
And that's the time that some people don't realize you have to do.
I know a guy that used to do marketing for a company and was doing a great job. And he told the company, like, I'm leaving and I'm starting my own agency. Mm-hmm. And that company literally became his first client.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They decided to just, okay, we'll pay you the same as what you were making.
And now you're a consultant.
But you don't, correct.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to be here 9 to 5 anymore. Right. But as long as you're delivering what you were delivering when you worked here, they were like, absolutely, we'll hire you.
That's good. That's the right attitude.
Correct.
That's the right attitude.
So he walked out already having secured the same income he already had, just as a contractor instead of an employee, and then was able to take on more clients.
See, when I hear those stories, what side I hear? The guy or girl leaves the employers, and then they get a cease and desist. Mm-hmm. That's what I hear that all the time. It's ridiculous. I love that approach.
Well, you're a lawyer,
of course,
and I love that approach. Stories.
I leave a company, I start my own. That company hires me as a contractor. Yeah. Fantastic, win-win for everybody.
Correct.
Really is.
Yes.
Yeah, now I'm not going to compete against you because you're one of my clients, and it would be detrimental for me to compete against you by working for somebody else who's a competitor.
Yes.
That's how you do it. You don't send me a cease and desist or something like that. That's not going to hold up in court, wasting everyone's time. All right. Anyway, so tips for your idea. It's out there. Doesn't mean you can't make one too. Doesn't mean you can't make one that's better. Mm-hmm. And again, like we said earlier, doesn't mean you can't make it and fail. And then you'll learn so much about business from failing that the next thing you do, you'll fail a little less, and maybe the next time after that is the home run.
It blew my mind when I found out that there's like an RV share or an Airbnb for pools.
Yeah, I know, and I go back and forth on that. Well, we have the pool in the backyard.
I do too, and I
probably use it. Right. And I probably use the pool. Me personally, I for whatever reason, I don't go in our pool. I don't know why. I just had this aversion to swimming for some reason.
I've been in once this year.
Yeah, right. I think
spend more time maintaining it than I do in
exactly. And my family doesn't go in it either. That pool sits empty, I would say, 6 out of 7 days a week.
I read a story.
And it costs so much money for the pump, the chemicals, everything involved.
It's thousands of dollars every year, right? So, but I read a cool story because there was a guy that apparently went out and rented a pool. Maybe it was the Wall Street Journal. Mm-hmm. It was one of those I was reading, TechCrunch. They wanted to test it, what it worked like. So they found a pool in a suburb that was kind of like convenient for all of them to gather. So they went in and booked and said, hey, we're going to have 6 people. We'd like to have it for 4 hours. And then you could pay like an add-on if you wanted to use the grill. You could pay an add-on. And he's like, when we got there was a little note on the fence that says, please come in. We have a porta potty outside for you guys to use because we don't have a restroom that's easily available inside the house. And they said they went there and hung out for like 4 hours. He said he saw the owner like look out the window once and just waved and went back in.
What's that cost? What do they usually get for that?
I don't know, but it made me think about it because like I have a full outdoor kitchen. I have seating for 15 people.
Yeah, exactly. I got the same thing.
I have the pool.
I have this beautiful pergola that I built by hand.
Yeah.
I went to Home Depot, bought the wood, built this beautiful pergola, got great seating out there, great place for lawn chairs.
Yes.
I don't use it. I built this spectacular backyard that nobody ever uses.
I sit by
And you have
myself
too.
out in my oasis every night, right? Like I even have a hardtop gazebo now.
But do you want
Right?
people using that?
Do what?
Do you want strangers using that?
I don't know. Did you want strangers using your house?
Well, that's why we don't do it anymore.
Did you want strangers using my camper?
But that's why we stopped doing Airbnb,
Yeah,
because
I know.
strangers were ruining the house. Literally ruining the house.
How much of a backyard or a pool can you ruin?
Well, that's the question. What do you really hurt there?
Right.
It's chlorinated. They're going to kill off anything that goes into it.
I mean, the only thing is if you crack a tile or like
Right.
you damage it somehow. But once again, every time I had an issue with any renter on RV Share was on it.
Yeah.
Right. Like I never lost money doing repairs unless it was something I didn't notice.
See, that
when they
was the
returned
problem
it.
with me in Airbnb is early on, very early on,
Mm-hmm.
Airbnb was all about the owner. Oh, there's a problem? We got you, owner. We'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Then they switched over.
Yeah.
And for us, when we first got involved, it was owner stuff, like owner. And then suddenly it became, no. The tenant said, the renter said that it was a problem already. We're going to believe them.
I believe.
You got to be kidding me.
If I remember correctly, I could be wrong on this, but I believe, for example, if I filed a claim against someone that had rented my unit,
Mm-hmm.
that person was not able to leave me a review.
Oh, yeah. We got killed on that too.
Correct, right?
Yeah, we would file a claim against a person,
but
they would usually side with the person because we had to prove it as opposed to the other way around, and the person would leave us a negative review. That's why it was one of the reasons we left Airbnb.
Correct, but it was one of the things that when there was damage, like there's a reason you ask for the security deposit.
Right.
But most people don't realize, even when I would take the camper out myself, right? I knew when I came back from my trip, there was probably going to be something that had to be fixed.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's an apartment on wheels. It's going to shake. It's going to move. You could bump into something. Like, I don't think I took a single trip ever in that unit where I didn't have at least at a minimum, $20 to $50 repair when we came back.
Right.
Right?
But that's cost of doing business.
I get it, right? But I don't think people renting it realize how fragile some of these things are, and that
I don't think they care.
But it's absolutely normal that when you return a unit, if you damage something and it's a $200 repair, that's more money than what a lot of people are making off of renting it to you for 2 nights.
Right.
Right. So of course they're going to file a claim.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think Airbnb and RV Share have very different mindsets on who is. RV Share understands that if they can't get people to list their units, they will not have anything to rent.
Sure.
And if they are too hard on those that own the units, they will stop listing them. Because I know a ton of people that rented out 3 or 4 times, and they're like, they saw the abuse of the unit happening and said, we're not doing this again.
Whereas Airbnb is so oversaturated, they can't possibly. It doesn't matter if they lose people. They're hoping people go away.
That's what it sounds like.
Actually, let me ask you. So on a similar to this. So we are considering you've been talking about our house in the Poconos, right? So in Poconos, Pennsylvania, we have that house. You've stayed there. You loved it. It's a nice place.
I did.
So obviously, it's
actually how we met.
That's right. That is how we met. Exactly. You rented my place in the Poconos. But we have been renting it in several years now. Mm-hmm. My daughter brought up a really good point because we thought when we bought it, we'd be up there like 2, 3, 4 times a month, right? We go up there 3 times a year.
It's the same thing.
It's just, we just can't.
When people buy
I love it. Love the place. We put so much work and love into it.
Yep.
It's beautiful. It's so comfortable.
Yep.
We just can't get up there.
Yep.
And whether it's work, kids, what have you, it's whatever. Okay, so my daughter, who's a nurse at Duke, said that there are, and I actually have to find this site. I'm sure there's multiple ones, where instead of renting it out like on an Airbnb, you rent it to like per diem nurses or people that are on assignment for 4 to 6 months or something like that. Generally, they're professional. They're going to take good care of the place, et cetera, et cetera.
Because they are going to be living there.
Right.
So
as opposed to vacationing.
Correct. Yeah. If you're going for 3 days and you have to spend half a day cleaning it before you leave, you're more likely to not clean. Right. Like, it's, you might never come back. But the person that has to live there day after day, week after week, if things starts going sideways. I mean, you can, just like with anything you rent out, you can get a bad tenant. But yes, I think overall the the semi long-term rentals are a great option for people that are in areas where that happens.
Yeah, and I like that. I like it because, like I said, they're professional people. Usually,
Yes.
they'll take care of things more often, and much better.
There's even there was someone around here that actually he rented. That's how a lot of these long-term apartments like that.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Not long-term, but like the places where you stay
Yeah,
for.
I got you. Yeah.
You know what
Yep,
place I'm
yep,
talking about,
yep.
right? Like that's why a lot of them were built here was because of Merck, right?
Right. Yeah.
But there was a guy that actually used to rent his house to Merck 8 months out of the year
Oh wow.
because Merck brings in like specific people all the
Yep.
time. So Merck rented his house, and there might be someone that Merck brought in for 2 months. He would stay
corporate
at the
housing.
house.
Yeah.
He would. Next guy would come in and stay for 3 months. Next guy would come in and stay for 2 months, right?
Right.
And then the guy got his house back for 4 months out of the year.
And that's the thing that we want too, is I don't want to rent it long term because there are times where we want to go up there. So if I knew it was being rented for 3 months, I could hold off for a couple of weeks, a week, could go up there after the 3 months is up, and then rent it again for
Yep.
3, 4, 5 months, whatever it is. So, so you like that idea?
I like that idea.
All right, good.
I like.
I think we're
so
going to wind up doing that.
I still remember the very, very first thing about Rich Dad Poor Dad. Anything that doesn't make you money is not
Costs
an
you
asset.
money. Yeah.
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 Right. So like, if you own something like the stupid pool, that pool is a money pit. Right. Like,
Such a money pit.
do people get enjoyment from it? Absolutely.
Every year when I'm calling my friend,
Dude,
so
do you
you know
remember-
Tom, I call my friend Tom
Yeah.
about opening and closing the pool. I tell him, Tom, this is the year I'm taking a bulldozer and I'm burying that thing.
Yeah, I told my wife we just repaired our pool, $22,000
Yeah.
to repair the pool. It's supposed to last anywhere from 15 to 20 years, and I told my wife the next time it needs an overhaul, it's getting filled.
Yeah.
And not with water.
Right,
Like
yeah.
I'm done. Like I'll do it because my kids are younger and they're going to enjoy it for the next 15 years.
Right.
But the moment they're no longer there every summer, that pool is gone.
I may have to start trying that pool. I got to start making money on these things. So the pool we should make money on. We should be making money on the Pocono house. I mean, because it's just sitting there otherwise.
We're
It's doing nothing.
on a show talking about how to make money and do business.
And I'm not making money.
You
Neither
have-
of us are making money
correct.
or doing business. All right.
With some certain assets we have.
And with that, back to the questions.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, renting dresses, sharing dresses, things like that. Cool idea.
I like it.
Out there, but doesn't
like it.
mean you can't do it too.
Yep.
All right.
But here's the other thing, is just because an app or something is popular in a certain part of the U.S. doesn't mean that it's popular elsewhere. Like,
Right.
I'll give you my least favorite website of all time, Yelp.
Okay. I hate Yelp.
If you go out west, there's literally like Yelp parties. People have organized on Yelp, and they'll do like a Yelp get together at a restaurant, and then everybody will review it. And
That sounds horrible.
yes, I know, but like they Yelp has a really, really strong foothold in like California, I believe. They also do lead gen for businesses. There's people that buy it. Like, so once again,
scary.
once you get out here to the East Coast, people are like, Yelp, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no. But yeah, so just because apps or things exist doesn't necessarily mean that specific app has a strong...
Right. Of course.
Right? Like, I think there's definitely going to be an Uber market and there's going to be a Lyft market. And there's reasons people often drive for both.
Family Guy did a fantastic joke on that. I'm not going to go into it, but you should watch it when you have a chance. Uber versus Lyft on Family Guy. It's great.
I'll look it up.
All right. One tourist, 9743, says, hello, I'm an 18-year-old currently still in school, but I'm eager to pursue my ambition of starting a full-time business. Love it. Love it. Like I say to all these young entrepreneurs, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. Just do it. I live in Malta. Nice place.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been to Malta?
I have not.
Oh, I haven't either, but the pictures are gorgeous.
Yeah, but you and I both know that. There's the tourist areas.
And then there's the real
people
part.
there.
Yeah. And I'm fortunate to have the support of my family. In addition to my interest in entrepreneurship, I am passionate about gym and nutrition. However, my financial resources are limited at this time with available capital about $3,000. Hey, that's not too bad. You can do something with that.
I started my business with less than that.
Yeah, I can potentially seek additional support from my parents if needed. While I am particularly interested in the fitness and nutrition space, I am open to exploring opportunities in various industries. My preferred business style is likely to start online with the possibility of expanding into a physical shop in the future. I would appreciate any advice or ideas on potential business ventures that could align with my interests and be viable given my situation. All right, let me start on this one.
Sure.
Build your personal brand. If you're going to be in fitness, it's all about your personal brand. Everywhere you go these days, right? It's not a matter of, oh, I like that gym. Oh, I like this place. It's who's there. It's all about the personal brand, right? So, So for example, I know it don't look like it, but I go to Edge Fitness, right? And I used to go to Edge Fitness in Jersey when I was working over in Jersey, and there was this bodybuilder there. His name was Jake. I'm pretty sure his name was Jake. A real nice guy. Just an absolute beast of a man. Like, guy who walks around like this and can lift like 500 pounds. And he had a following of people that would follow him in to Edge Fitness, and they would all work out together. He was on social media. Everyone knew who he was. He was national competitions. And it was the same thing. It was the people that had the personal brands that everybody would follow. People weren't going to Edge Fitness because they wanted to go to Edge Fitness. They were going to Edge Fitness to follow Jake.
Because he was there.
Right? And it's the same thing with a lot of people. So hear me out. You and I have a friend, Justin, right? Justin Kettner.
Yeah.
We both know him. His wife, Melissa, is a very, very, very popular fitness guru online.
She's an Instagram influencer.
Exactly.
Fitness influencer.
And wherever she goes, people are going to follow her. They're not going to go to that place unless she's there.
So I always say, are you looking to start a business that you can sell one day? Right? Because you cannot sell a personal influencer brand to someone else because it's just you.
Sure.
Right? So you could be the bodybuilding guy, or you could build the next Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness will never need another spokesperson.
I think you can do both. I think, in fact, if you don't have the resources, well, hear me out. If you don't have the resources, you build your brand online, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, right?
Do you think, so Mr. Beast, most popular influencer on the planet,
right?
Do you think Beast Burgers are going to be selling after he's dead?
So probably not. But first off, Jimmy's really young, so that's not happening anytime soon.
But I'm just saying, right? Like Jake Paul could get killed by Mike Tyson.
True.
I'm just saying.
You probably should, to be honest. But anyway, so I don't mean in a derogatory way. No one goes in the ring against Mike Tyson expecting to walk out. So anyway, my point is, if you start with the influencer angle, right? Start with the getting popular on social media, and you build your brand, you build capital, you build venture capital for yourself, right? So you have money to start. Then you can open that physical gym. Then you can go do this, go do that, get the physical product out there. And that business is going to be worth something. Yeah. And it'll be worth something because of all the subscriptions that you have, the people joining the gym, and then that gym can be sold without you. So absolutely. I'm saying if you're talking about starting with no capital, €3,000, you can do something with that. But if you can build your own brand that builds a following, and then you build a product, right? Whether it's mugs or T-shirts or whatever it's going to be, right? Yeah, you can absolutely walk away from that after it sells.
I mean, you could start with something simpler and just become a personal trainer.
Sure, but
and then build a network of personal trainers.
Yeah, personal trainers fail all the time.
Yeah, but it's because they're really bad at business.
They are bad at business.
Right? So if you do this early and you start learning about the business side of things, you could set up a personal fitness training network and take care of the business side for personal trainers. Right?
Right,
So, I mean, there's unlimited options.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
As I say, there's a lot. Exactly. Yeah. But I still think, then again, we can just disagree on this. I think that even if you're doing that, you still have to build your own brand. You have to.
Yeah.
If you're young, and you have a little bit of cash, and you have time, and you're really good in a field, build that brand.
What if she's one of those that has the personality of a brick?
Then you're probably not going to get very far in business.
Correct, right? So it's part of
Starting your own business, as you know,
I know, but
you have to have that personality that people want to be around you. They want to work with you.
Not always.
If you're the face of the business, absolutely.
But if you're but like I know guys that literally the first people they hire are salespeople.
Oh, okay, fine.
Right? Like because they don't want to be the face of the business.
You're not hiring a salesperson with €3,000.
You can do commissions.
No one's doing that. Don't do that. Don't hire some salesperson straight on commission. They're not going to give a crap about your business.
That's how I started in this industry.
Is it really?
I started as a 100% commission salesperson selling websites.
Did you care?
What?
About the business?
Yeah.
Really?
Dude,
you are a rare commodity, my friend.
Because I was a sales guy at the time, right? I came from selling food into restaurants, and then I was offered this job to go sell websites to businesses at a time where my cold calls were, hey, have you heard of this thing called the internet? Maybe you should consider getting a website, right? Like, so you also
we're talking way back when.
You're talking like mid-2000s.
Try doing that today.
Like early 2000s. There's other things that can be sold today, right? But I didn't see it as I'm not getting something guaranteed. I saw unlimited earning potential because there was no salary cap either. So they asked me, do you want a base and a lower commission or no base and a higher commission? And I'm like, what's the higher commission difference?
Right.
And when they showed me the numbers, and I was like, so what you're telling me is if I sell one extra website every month, I'm basically, it ended up being the difference, right? Mm-hmm. That's where the fixed commission, if I sold one extra website a month, I was already making my base. So if I sold 2, I was ahead of the game. If I didn't sell any, I had my guaranteed 1 site, right? So it was like a no-brainer at the time. And I was the top salesperson for a few months, a year. Like there was me and one other guy, and it became almost like a competition. But so yeah, when you find the right salesperson,
that's hard.
I know it's hard. It's hard finding good people for anything anymore. Right?
It really is.
But yeah, once again,
the problem. My problem, because I've tried this in the past, right? Maybe it's just the bad experience I've had. But the problem with trying to find the salespeople is that if I'm trying to find the personal trainer, I can tell in a day or two how good they are. Yeah. The salespeople could take months before you know if they're any good.
Yeah.
And you've wasted all that time and energy and money.
But it comes back to my point of you don't always have to be the face of the company.
Oh, sure.
Right? Like, so build a personal brand if your intent is to be the business, right? Then a personal brand is phenomenal. Is a personal brand helpful if you intend on opening more than one business? Well, we can look at Neil Patel,
right?
Alex Hromosy, Cody Sanchez, Elon Musk, right? All of them have very, very strong personal brands and they own multiple businesses.
Right.
So if that's the plan, absolutely build a personal brand. If you're trying to build a small company or a business that you intend to sell in 2 years or 5 years, your personal brand is not as important as people make it out to be anymore. The brand of the business becomes far more important because that's what you're selling. Like, who do you think is going to buy the Anthony Robbins Foundation?
Right. No, I get it. I completely understand what you're saying. I don't see this as being a 2 or 5 year endeavor, though. I think this is something that's going to
maybe it's just
build up over a while.
Maybe it's her first business. How long did you have your first business?
5 years.
I had mine 2.5 years, and then I sold it. Right? It's just one of those you have to, rather than thinking about it the way she is phrasing the question, is you almost have to approach it backwards. If I wanted to build something for 2 years and sell it, what would I build?
Sure.
If I wanted to build something that's going to be a career and I'm not going to sell until I retire, you build something completely different, right? So I think when it comes to businesses, people often just open something because, I'm really interested in gym and fitness. So that's what I'm
going to do.
Correct.
Right. And then you find out that's the business I want to be in.
Alex Hromosy started exactly that. He wanted to be a gym owner. Like, that's where he started. He wanted to own lots and lots of gyms. And now he doesn't own a single gym, right? Like, he found out he loved being in business more than he liked the business he picked, right? So yeah, it's starting the business regardless of what it is. Think of where you want the outcome to be. What is your out? Then figure out what business you want to be in. Try building that business, because you may find out a year in that being a business owner isn't for you at all. Right? You may find out in 2 years that you have something that is actually worth something, but you're really not that interested in it anymore. Like if you go on to Biz Buy Sell or any of these, you often see companies for sale that have like $2.5 million in revenue, 700,000 in EBITDA, and reason for selling, owner wants to explore other venues. Right?
No, I know. I deal with it. I deal with it myself.
They just got tired of whatever business they're in and wanted to do something else.
Yep.
And I try to preach to people, approach whatever business you're taking on now with that mindset, right? Is what if you do get tired of it in 2 years? If you built something that is all around you, you have something that's worthless in 2 years.
Right.
If you have something that you built where people start recognizing the business name and the testimonials and people are talking about the business rather than you might have something you could sell.
Yeah.
Right? So just my 2 cents on personal brands versus business brands.
All right. So
personal brands always can help.
Yep.
But they shouldn't be the first thing you build unless you intend to be the brand.
So then that's the question is, I guess, figure out what you want to do 2 years, 5 years, 7 years from now. Where do you want this business to be?
And whatever you think you're going to want is you're probably not going to be correct anyway. But you have to approach it from that mindset.
But at least that helps you with the building blocks.
Correct. And that helps you understand what type of business you should. Because like personal trainers are all about personal brands.
Right.
If you want to open a gym, your personal brand doesn't matter. The business model of the gym matters more.
Okay. Time for one more?
Sure. You want to do the grow thicker, fuller hair in 3 to 6 months?
No. I'm good, thanks. All right, let's see. What is this? Infant Grow With Me fan from Pristine Monitor 7186. A fan company should make a fan with a baby crawl speed function that comes with double-sided blades that can be a solid color at first, then a certain theme for more commercial products, then to solid black, white, or whatever is the most popular. Aim it toward first-time parents needing an updated fan in their nursery, or parents with children who are toddlers and love character theme rooms and or toys and apparel. So as the fan spins, does a blade spin? It creates a character, or
did you ever?
I'm not understanding this.
Because I am so respectful of all the gender stuff and all that stuff. Did you ever have to nurse a baby?
I did not.
Okay, I didn't either. I had to bottle feed a baby, but I never had to nurse a baby.
I bottle fed my son, and so yeah, I know.
So do you ever remember that no matter what setting you had on the fan, it was often too much because it just got the room either too cold or you could tell that it made the baby uncomfortable?
Maybe.
She's basically talking about a slow-mo fan.
Okay.
That moves the air without making it uncomfortable for the baby.
Okay. Wouldn't that just be a lower setting?
Yeah. So, but...
Well, what are we talking about blades and stuff here then?
Because she's also talking about making them decorative, because if it moves slower...
so the decorative fan.
Then you can... Because you can see
what's
it
on the fan.
Correct.
Yeah, it's on the blades. I got you.
So then if you make a pattern... right, on the fan, and then let's say you move it to the next setting, then maybe a picture starts forming.
Oh, well, that's what I was saying.
Correct.
As it increases in speed.
She's saying that just for decorative reasons, not because of functional value. So the functional value is that it's at a slower speed that basically moves the air slower, because most fans now are all designed based on the assumption
that you want it to be as cold as possible.
You want it to move it fast,
to blow
right?
you away, yeah.
Like I have
is
pretty much, right? And then 2 is and 3 is a hurricane, right? But very few people have moved in the other direction. I actually think, like the Dyson fan, which isn't really a fan. It's an air
vortex.
mover.
Yeah, it's a vortex.
Is this concept is that it moves the air without being forceful. I don't hate this idea. Like I don't, because it's so
And to summarize it, it's a fan with lower speed and decorative blades.
and double sided. So like
Right.
there's decorative on both sides, and it moves it's basically a low speed fan that looks cool in a baby room.
Yeah.
It's not a
terrible idea.
It's not a terrible idea.
You're right, because most fans are either black, white, or some one solid color.
And the fact that like this is a low entry to market, because you can partner with someone that already makes fans and just say, hey, I need you to put a weaker motor in it. Right? Like, I need you to make the blade so they move.
Half setting.
Right.
One half, one.
Like a quarter.
Two.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't hate this idea.
No.
I actually think the moment you do it and bring it out, you're going to get crushed by the competition.
Oh, yeah.
Because, there's a whole website dedicated to only fans, apparently. Sorry, I had to sneak that in.
Of course you did.
But I don't hate this idea. I think if you can get it into the baby stores, like I would say make a prototype, because a prototype of this is super easy to make.
Right. It is.
You need you need a 3D printer and an electric motor.
Yep.
Right? And both of which are now readily available pretty much anywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you know anything about electronics, you can build a fan motor real easy.
But build a prototype, test it, see if it does what you want it to do. Put some artwork on it and see what it looks like, and try it in a couple of different colors. Show it to people, see what they think. Get feedback on the product before you start any type of development. And my thing is always sell it before you make it.
Right.
Right? If you can get 1,000 pre-orders for that fan, then absolutely you have something there.
You have something viable.
Yeah.
You have proof of concept.
I kind of like this.
Well, there you go. See, pristine monitor. Gummi likes it. Gummi likes it a lot. Good luck with that.
Double-sided blades that can be a solid color first. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like it. So here's the thing. I like products that aren't necessarily new or first to market, but rather that are an adaptation of something that's already popular in the market.
Right.
Right? It's easier to convince you to buy my product than to buy a product. Right? Because you've already decided I need that product.
Yeah.
Now
here's why mine's better.
And this is such a simple, easy way to completely stand out and say, well, no, I don't want to sell you a fan for your living room or your outdoors. I just want to sell you a fan for your baby room that can be in your baby's room for the first 4 years of their life.
Right.
Because people...
And we'll grow with them.
And people buy baby stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But because it's baby specific all the time.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely.
Right?
Even though they know that, this fan will last a while, but they know that these things won't. The thing I'm buying right now won't be good for 6 months.
Correct.
Right. Meaning the baby won't need it.
I like this.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that's it for today.
I like it.
You like it?
I like it. It's a good one to end on.
Gummi's going to come in next week with a fan.
Yeah, probably. I'll have the prototype behind me.
So, all right, cool. I guess I'll see you next week.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, buddy.
Thanks.